Hello everyone, I am Sardar Karikiprik. Today's topic is Daniel Kahneman's talk. Let's start it. Here is content. Okay, who is Daniel Kahneman? Daniel Kahneman is an Israeli psychologist and economist notable for his work on psychology of judgment and decision making, as well as behavioral economics, for which he was awarded the 2002 Nobel Memorial Prize in Economics. His empirical findings challenged the assumption of human rationality prevailing in modern economic theory. With Amos Tversky and others, Kahneman established a cognitive basis for common human errors that arise from heuristics and biases and developed prospect theory. In 2011, he was named by Foreign Policy magazine in its list of top global thinkers. In the same year, his book Thinking Fast and Slow, which summarizes much of his research, was published and became a bestseller. In 2015, The Economist listed him as the seventh most influential economist in the world. What is intuition? Intuition is the ability to acquire knowledge without recourse to conscious reasoning. Different fields use the word intuition in very different ways, including but not limited to direct access to unconscious knowledge, unconscious cognition, inner sensing, inner insight to unconscious pattern recognition, and the ability to understand something instinctively without any need for conscious reasoning. For example, as an uncle, feeling that something is wrong with my niece is an example of intuitive emotion. According to Daniel Kahneman, there are two thought systems in the people brain. These are System 1 and System 2. In System 1, people think quickly, automatically, intuitively, and mostly unconsciously. In System 2, people think slowly, analytically, that is more consciously. Daniel Kahneman's most specific example is 2 plus 2 and 17 multiplied 24. People don't need to make an effort to answer 2 plus 2. People's brain responds automatically and quickly. It's like knowing without thinking. This is the part that relates to System 1. But when people try to multiply 17 and 24, they make an effort, so the brain is going slow and trying to do some operations, and this is the part that relates to System 2. System 1, fast, unconscious, automatic, associative, intuitive, emotional, and System 2, slow, takes effort, lazy, indecisive, rational, and logical. A riddle about thinking fast and slow. Kahneman asked a riddle in his talk. The riddle was, a bat and a ball together cost $1/10. The bat cost more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? The point about this riddle is that the number came to the mind, and the number is 10 cents. People confess that the number 10 cents immediately came to mind. That's wrong. The solution is 5 cents. This shows that people do not control, because if they checked, they wouldn't say 10 cents. So there is a sense of trust that these people in particular have. One of the conclusions we can draw from here is that System 1 makes our lives easier most of the time, but it can also push us to make many mistakes. Substitution. When we are asked a question that we cannot answer, typically System 1 is going to come up with the answer to a related question that is easier, and it's going to use that answer to the wrong question, the question that hasn't been asked in place of the question that was asked. It's called that mechanism of substitution. It happens automatically. It's source of many intuitions that don't come from expertise, and they are much less likely to be correct than the intuitions that do come from expertise, but they come with equal confidence just about. Illusion. Can you please look at the picture? Which of three figures is larger on the screen? It's like the rightest one seems like the bigger one, but and the smallest one seems like the left one, but they are equal. All three figures on the screen are of equal size, but it's very strong illusion. We see the figure on the right as larger than the figure on the left. Although you were told to think of it as a two-dimensional object, you compute the three-dimensional solution in which the object on the right is in fact larger than the object on the left, and that is what you see. Dating heuristic. Another interesting example given by Daniel Kahneman is dating heuristic. In a survey, it asked the students, how happy are you and how many dates did you have last month? And if the questions are asked in that order, the correlation is zero. When it's asked to students first, how many appointments have you had in last month and how satisfied are you with your life as a whole? The correlation is 0.66. Having an emotional reaction to the students also gives an emotional response to the question about the date number. That emotional response is sitting there. Then you are asked a question about happiness and you substitute one for the other without knowing that you are doing it. Subjective confidence. Subjective confidence, which is closely related to the probability of being correct, is actually not a judgment at all. It's a feeling. If a story is coherent, confidence is high. This is disaster in some ways, because people can make a coherent story out of very little information and out of information that is not reliable. The quality of story depends very little on the quality and quantity of the information, so people can be very confident with very little reason. Confidence is therefore not a good diagnostic for when you can trust either yourself or somebody else. Thank you for listening to me.